First thing with our recruiting, now that we have the guys in, or have the letters in, we're excited about these two because they really epitomize the versatility, the multi-dimension ability, the two-way player mindset that you want to have. And they bring size. They bring size, they bring length, they bring a tenaciousness, and most importantly, they bring a high level of improvement mindset, a high level of improvement mindset ability that they're already showing that we think will even be more so here. And with Juwan has done nothing but get better. He's one of those young men that's a year-round winner, which is what we don't want to get away from. And he wins in the summer, he wins in the winter. He's well coached in both areas. And one of the great tributes to his improvement was him being named the most improved player in the EYBL. And for those of you that follow that with any eyes whatsoever, you know how tough of an environment that is. And that gets measured from spring through the summer. And there's a lot of really good players that participate in that. So for him to get that on that circuit was a big deal. And what I like about him is that he's going to do whatever you ask him to do to win the game on both ends of the floor. I think he's going to be very versatile in the way that he can defend different people. I think he's going to be able to get out and guard on the perimeter. He's a very good post defender, very good at defending ball screens, and I think he's got that leadership ability that you want defensively to help hold his teammates accountable. And he'll have to grow into that in college, but I think he's shown that already. Offensively, he can not only score at the rim, he can not only run the court, but he can stretch the defense. And I think he'll become a consistent three-point shooter over time. But I also like that as a bigger player, he can really drive the ball. And we were able to see that improvement level in him. And I think as he gains strength and confidence in his ball handling and in his shooting, he's going to get better and better. But he's an outstanding young man, great family, I mean absolutely great family. And when you're around him, you enjoy it. I mean, he's got a very infectious personality. Ogugua, or OG as everybody really refers to him, is a guy that, as the story really goes, we went to Atlanta to an early tournament and we were watching other players, and we were watching a couple other guys on his team, Team Thad, this summer. And I was just enthralled with his ability defensively, especially on the ball and the press, the ground that he covered. And the crazy thing is the original program that we bought, he wasn't in it. And he wasn't listed. And so we didn't know if we were watching a junior or a senior. I just knew that I was watching a guy that had tremendous length, covered a lot of ground, ran the court extremely hard, and played with a really great spirit. And we later found out after the game, obviously, who he was, followed him some more that weekend, and got on the phone with him. And when he was done, realized that he had connections to Bloomington. He had been to Bloomington, got to know about his background, got to know about his family, got to know about having a brother in the NFL, and just really started the process in a big way. But we were into him before we even knew his name, and I think that's rare, because you buy these books and there's so much information on them, and all of a sudden there's one where his name's not in it. But to us, when we started to watch film, then we started to see his versatility. And was a very good three-point shooter as a junior. One of the open gyms that I went to when we were still recruiting him, he was ridiculous in the pick and pop. He probably made 7 or 8 threes just in the open gym that I was at, you know, of setting screens, stepping back, spotting up. And so he's really one of those players that he's just going to get better and better and better. I like the way he was coached in the summertime by the Team Thad people, and I don't know his coaches real well, but I like what I've seen on film, and we're looking forward to following him this year. He brings tremendous length. He's very unassuming in the sense that I don't think he has any idea how good he's going to be. I would say that about both of them. I would say both of them are going to really get better, which is exactly what we've tried to build this program on. This class, to me, reminds me, with 2 in it right now, of the class that we had with Victor and Will early on. Nobody really knew a lot about them, but we felt really strong about both of them. And now they're going to have to come in this gym and spend 365 days a year in it, just like Will and Victor did, to gain that kind of ability here at Indiana. But that's the kind of upside we're talking about. And OG is going to be, he can cover ground on the glass. He can cover ground defensively. I think like both of them, are going to have to get better at guarding quickness and speed at the collegiate game, which most do. But we try to spend time at that. And obviously, you know, after the other night, we've got to spend even more time at that. But I think that they'll be able to become what we want them to be on both ends of the court with a ton of upside. Again, OG tremendously well raised. Father's a teacher at a university. Love his family, and I mean that's what we want. When you want to recruit year-round winners, you want to recruit people that have family values, and then you start to look at the athletic upside, the competitive upside, the intelligence upside, the character/work ethic upside, and if you can answer yes to those, then you feel pretty good about it, and we feel really good about that. But we've got to stay really, really true to making sure that we're bringing in young people that fit what we're trying to do in all areas and on and off the court, and at the same time can come in here and help us win a lot of games and be leaders on and off the floor. And they're both outstanding students, so we feel really good about that, feel great about it. So love their size, and I think both of them could potentially even get bigger. I think OG's bigger since we even recruited him, started recruiting him in the summer. But you cannot teach that length, and length is such a very important part of anything that you're trying to do offensively or defensively. And every little bit matters. I mean, right now on our team, we're blocking out better, but we're not getting as many 50-50 balls. Well, length and tenacity have something to do with that, and those guys will certainly help in many, many areas. So, any questions on the recruiting?
Did you guys have a chance to actually measure him?
Yeah, I don't have it off the top of my head what it is, but his wingspan is extremely long. Okay. I could get that for you later.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? You could probably go have somebody go get that for us. I don't know if Janae's in there though. I didn't see him right before I came down, so see if we can get that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I guess what you want. I mean, you talked about ways you think he can impact early. How much do you anticipate him impacting that post rotation?
Oh, they've been big in their forwards. They're going to be able to do a lot of different things. I think a lot of it will come down to what kind of summers they have and the strength that they put on, and that'll be important. But they're both pretty natural rebounders. They cover a lot of ground. They have what's so important for bigger players is that they have short space quickness, and I think OG is when he continues to build his awareness of what he's capable of, I think you'll see even more there. Juwan sees a lot of different things. He's done a pretty good job of help side defense, things of that nature. So all those things play into it. So I would anticipate both of them coming in here when that time comes and challenging to play. No question about it.
Did you have more of a mindset of looking for guys with defensive potential as you went into this?
We have more of a, I think we always do. I think we always want to have the defensive potential. I mean, last year certainly there was such a need for the shooting, right? But at the same time, Rob Johnson, and again, we're not coming off a great game by any stretch with the freshmen, but James Blackman is making tremendous strides defensively. Robert Johnson has come in here being a very good defender. Max wants to be a good defender. They realize it just takes a bit, you know, once they get in there, that if you really want to be successful, you got to play both ends of the floor at an extremely high level. And the other thing that's so huge, I was going to talk about this when we're talking about our team, is young players, really, especially ones that have scored a lot of points. And this is where a guy like Victor and Will were different. They are not used to having to get their energy, all right, and get their aggressiveness from the defensive side of the court, because scoring is so easy for them and shooting is so easy for them. And when you get to this level, if you're going to keep making steps as a player at this level and have a chance to play above and beyond, the quicker you learn that your energy on the offensive end will come from your defensive abilities and your ability to get stops, be a team defender, make plays, get deflections, get steals, all those different things, that your energy just derives from that because it makes everybody else on your team so much energetic. when guys learn that, and we're in the process of that. I think our film showed the other night that we weren't there as much. But there were certain times in that game, especially later in the first half, our break was incredible because our defensive energy was so strong. And again, it's an inconsistency for us right now, but when younger players learn that. So in answer to your question, I think they come with that. But again, we're not trying to recruit role players that just play one end of the court, or situational players that just do one or two things on that end of the court. We're looking for guys that can be well-rounded, complete players, and because of their size and length, we knew going into this class, getting length was going to be really, really important for us. So that makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Jeff?
Juwan, in EYBL, you mentioned most improved player, and I think it was pretty clear from Sacramento on that there was real improvement, specifically the way he defended. He had to defend post players at times. Were there a couple games maybe that stuck out to you more as far as who he defended, or things that you saw that really got better, or just anything that you saw maybe in July that really caught your attention?
They won big games. They won the games a lot of times against the teams that might have had more named guys, higher ranked guys, more notoriety, big men. I think he rose to that occasion. So I can't give you one specific occasion because there were numerous occasions.
Okay.
And I think that's the biggest thing. And again, ratings are nice. Okay, those things are cool, but they don't win you any games. You know, when you get out into the mix. I'm not sure where the Eastern Washington guys were ranked, but I know those three of them were really, really good the other night. And the bottom line is, it's like we say all the time, it doesn't matter where you're ranked, because in the last 13 years, only 27% of the consensus top 100 have played an NBA game. So again, they're fun to talk about, they're fun to digest. I think it's a lot more about what the upside is and what they're capable of when they get there. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. But the bottom, and then sometimes you hit and miss on guys that are highly ranked. But you try to do your best at looking at all the different traits where there's upside. And if there's upside, then there's a chance for them to get a lot better in all those areas. And I think that's the case with those two.
I'm just kind of curious, with the oversigning, how does that play into the new Bill of Rights? I mean, have you sort of talked with Fred about how that works now?
Yeah, we don't make many decisions here without going through all of that. So you always have to be prepared for what could happen down the road. And those things work themselves out. You know, it's a level of play where people are going to potentially have opportunities to go pro. We've had that, you know, before you got on the beat, or even last year, we've had that where guys leave. That's all part of it. But absolutely, we go through those things. Anything else? Any follow-up to that?
Well, how much of
Hold on, do you have a follow-up to that?
I guess, I mean, how far into that do you get? I mean, just looking at individual cases here, because I oversigned by 2 with this class. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of moving parts with that.
There's always a lot of moving parts. Recruiting is a 365-day exercise. And there's a lot of moving parts. And there's always going to be that. And there's always going to be different situations that play out. And if you look at the history of it, they seem to play out. And if you go back through the times, they seem to play out pretty well.
Maybe, do you see more hurdles coming with the Bill of Rights, with all the scholarship guarantees and whatnot?
No, not whatsoever. I don't see any hurdles whatsoever. I think the student athletes here are in a really good position. And I think there's a lot of things that go in. It's a two-way street. You know, the Bill of Rights is one thing, but there's a two-way street into what student athletes have to fulfill as well. And I think that's part of the whole moving part. It's not a static situation. It's constantly moving. And there's nothing in the Bill of Rights that stops a player from deciding to go pro. There's nothing in the Bill of Rights that stops a player from deciding that he wants to go somewhere else. So there's always going to be moving parts. And the number one thing you have to do as a coach and in your sport is you have to continue to not only work in the present day, but you have to work for the future constantly. And you have to be able to project. And that's all part of it. So there's a lot of that stuff that goes into every decision that we make. It's just not always anything that we look at and bring about and talk about in a public manner. But it's all stuff that you equate in your decision-making process. Anything else?
What do you still want to see? I guess where do you see
them grow? Where do you want to see them improve?
Well, everywhere,
Next year?
everywhere. I mean, I think the bottom line is when you're looking at upside, you're looking at everywhere. I mean, there's really no, I don't know many players that don't have to get better in every area of the game. You know, we're shooting the ball at 46, 48%. We've made 49 threes in 5 games, and I can pick about 18, 19 to 20 shots that if we'd have shot the ball correctly and had the proper footwork or the proper follow-through, we'd have made more of those. And we didn't make our 49th three of the year last year until the 10th game. All right, right now we've already got 49 threes, and we shoot the ball at a high rate, and I watch the film and we break it down with players, and when we work on our practices, there's constant room for shooting the ball better. So I think in any player situation, you constantly want to be moving it forward so that they understand that they got to keep chasing perfection. You know, perfection's it's hard to get, I'm sure. Okay, I've never met anybody that is truly perfect. Okay, but the bottom line is you want to keep chasing it. And I think in any player's case, they want to try to get better every day at everything, and then that's what builds the hunger for winning. I think when you get satisfied in any area of your game is when you lose a little bit of that hunger for what it's all about. And I think with those players, they'll just get better and better at those type of things if they have the work ethic that we think they do.
Here's some measurements.
All right, let's see. Yeah, OG's wingspan is almost 7'2", and his height is 6'7". And Juwan has got a wingspan of 6'11", and his height is 6'7.5". So, all right, basketball-wise, we're off today.